Hello and welcome. My name is Kennedy White, and the project I will be presenting to you today is using community gardens to eliminate food deserts in the greater Savannah area. My specific objective was to determine which starting plant type, either seeds or pre-bought plants, was optimal to maximize plant growth based on days of maturity. The days of maturity I will be using to compare my study to is a similar study done by the University of Illinois in 2017. To start, my whole project was based on the inadequate access to substantial food sources, which is known as food deserts, in the greater Savannah area. This is an economic problem that primarily affects lower socioeconomic areas throughout the United States. In Savannah specifically, it is West and East Side Savannah along with downtown Savannah. The thought process behind the project was to incorporate community fruit and vegetable gardens in said food deserts to increase the amount of substantial food sources that they have, and also have it at economic viable cost for them. I started this by targeting and educating elementary school students to start their own community gardens in their own areas so that we could have multiple community gardens to source from. For my specific project, it took place in a Georgetown subdivision located in Southside Savannah, Georgia, in which I assessed two pre-plant types. We have seeds and we have pre-bought plants. They were put in identical plant boxes parallel to each other in front of a modern house. Everything is exactly the same for both plant types except for the type of plant, in which case it's the seeds and pre-bought plants. The species was also different. So for seeds, I had mustard greens, oregano, and chives, whereas for the pre-bought plants, I had broccoli, flat Italian parsley, and butter crunch bib lettuce. There were a total of 6 of each species for the pre-bought plants and 24 seeds of the seed type plants. There was no fertilization added, and plants were watered daily for topsoil. The whole method was to assess which starting plant, seeds or pre-bought, is optimal to maximize plant growth based on the days of maturity. It was found that all plant species' average plant growth rate does not align with the average plant growth recorded at the University of Illinois. So when comparing the rate of plant growth for each individual species with its days of maturity assessed from the University of Illinois, it was found that the average plant growth rate does not align. The chives and oregano seed plants did not sprout throughout the study, so their data was omitted from the statistics as to not to skew the mustard greens data. Based on the days of maturity recorded in the University of Illinois, only the buttercrunch lettuce and parsley are on track to properly mature within the remaining days of its maturity. Every other plant was to mature between the days of 45 and 60, whereas the buttercrunch lettuce and parsley was around 60 and 80, so they still have some time to mature. There was also a significant increase in the average mustard plant growth. However, this did not align with its days of maturity and therefore cannot be used to reject the null hypothesis. And due to various environmental and animal factors, the broccoli species saw a sharp decrease in its plant growth. So based on all of this information and the graphs that I'm about to show, pre-bought plants are optimal to maximize plant growth. However, due to data collection still being ongoing, the findings and the results that I'm presenting with you guys today may not be completely accurate, and better results will occur as data collection continues. So here in figure legend 1, we have the time progress as the plant growth of mustard greens. And as we can see, when comparing it to the University of Illinois to the far right, its average plant height failed to reach its optimal average plant height within its days of maturity. Unfortunately, the University of Illinois did not have an average adult leaves for any of the plants, and so can only really compare its average plant height to its days of maturity. However, the average plant height does have a significant influence on the average adult leaves, so the correlation is there. In figure legend 2, it shows the progress of the average broccoli growth. As you can see, there's a steady decrease in average plant height and average adult leaves, and it's significantly lower, about 4 times lower than its optimal average height as recorded by the University of Illinois based on its days of maturity. In figure legend 3, we have the buttercrunch lettuce. This one was a little mid to low average. It still has a few more days before it's breached its days of maturity. So if it keeps up with the rate of growth it is going right now, it will be close to being its the average height recorded by the University of Illinois within its days of maturity. The same can be said about the parsley. In figure legend 4, as time progressed, we could see that the average plant height for the parsley is a lot closer to the average plant height recorded by the University of Illinois compared to any other plant, and it still has more than enough days of maturity to mature not only its average plant height, but the average adult leaves and average fruit. So due to the stark differences between Savannah, Georgia's ambient temperature during its winter months and what these plants normally grow in, it wasn't surprising that the continuous changes in temperature led to the subjects not having a stable growing period and be able to grow effectively. Also mentioned earlier, but throughout the study, there were countless rodents and vermin that seemed to only nitpick on the broccoli, which led to discrepancies in not only the number of adult leaves, but it was detrimental to the overall average plant growth of the broccoli, which is showcased in figure legend 2. Figure legend 1. With all that being said, it could be assumed that under constant and better conditions, all subjects could grow optimally and potentially grow fruit within its days of maturity. Considering the data results, it can be said that implementing multiple large-scale community gardens within food deserts in the Greater Savannah area with using pre-bought plants is best to optimize plant growth. However, it is key to take into account the socioeconomic standard of living in the areas within food deserts suggests that they do not have the necessary cost to put in the money to create these large-scale community gardens. With that being said, with further research and the continuation of my current data collection period, the results may vary, and the results of this current study with the more large-scale community garden will decrease costs for students while increasing the net fruit produce for the community, which is our desired effect. In this next figure, we can see the low income and low access areas in the Savannah, Georgia area. So this is showcasing the food desert areas in Savannah, Georgia in the green. So as I stated a little earlier, we have downtown Savannah in this area right here, some of West Savannah. Over here we some have East Savannah around the Sol C. Johnson High School area before you get on Whitmarsh Island. And down here, this is some of Southside Savannah before you get into Georgetown. In the next graph, we have figure legend 5, of course, which showcases the price rounded to the nearest dollar of all of the necessary components I used for my own community garden. For all the seeds, it was free, contributed from Live Oak Public Library's seed library. However, for the pre-bought plants, along with the flower beds, fences, and soil, there was significant money put into, but not a lot of output, which could hinder low socioeconomic families and citizens from creating the community gardens that optimize plant growth. That being said, here's my literature cited. Thank you.